The secret to how to be successful in the Pokemon market lies in the answer to a very interesting question. What is the difference between Logan Paul and TCA Gaming? Today we're going to talk about that and uncover the truth behind what success is actually made from in this space as it relates to building a big collection or a healthy business. Before we dive into the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 800 subs and it would mean the world to me if we could hit that, hopefully before the end of March. Maybe that would be a good St. Patrick's Day surprise. But with that said, let's kind of do a case study on the difference between these two individuals beyond what's obvious. So, Logan Paul is a pretty divisive figure, pretty much in everything that he does, and Pokemon is no exception. Some people love him, some people love to hate him, and, people like to vocalize where they stand on that as well. But the fact of the matter is Logan Paul participates in Pokemon in a way that is obvious and impactful. That said, Logan Paul, over the course of the last 6 or so years, has bought multiple millions of dollars worth of Pokemon cards. Some he has sold, most of which he still retains today. As a matter of fact, if we take a look at the only items that Logan Paul has sold, we have his Pikachu Illustrator card. We saw the Legendary Collection booster box that he broke on the Golden Auction platform or whatever recently. And then we also see, like, what are we up to? Like 3 first edition base set booster boxes that he's broke on live streams and stuff like that as well. Beyond that, I don't know of a single item that Logan Paul has actually sold. I guess he did trade his PSA 9 Illustrator in order to acquire the PSA 10 initially. But like beyond that, if you know any cards that Logan Paul has actually sold, comment down below, let me know what they are. Because I know some of the items that he has purchased just from like various videos that he's cameoed on or been a part of or produced himself. And I have not seen a lot of those items actually sell. So I do think that constitutes, and again, you might love to hate this, but I think that does position him to accurately label himself as a collector. Okay? Now let's take a look at TCA Gaming. The immediate thing that pops out is like Rusty is a unanimously known as like a pillar of the hobby. He is a person of integrity. He is honest, trustworthy, and reliable. Rusty's been participating in the Pokemon market for somewhere near 20 years now. And with that said, he's been consistently outputting content. He's been consistently growing his business by listing cards, selling cards, offering consignment services at various times in history, and then also building a big collection too. So what I just described is the similarities between the two are they both have a very healthy position in Pokemon cards. They both made a substantial amount of money off of Pokemon cards, and they both don large collections, larger than likely you and I will ever have. But the difference is pretty obvious. Rusty is a person who has been consistent over time. Logan Paul has intermittent spikes of participation in a public fashion. And I know that if you haven't seen his video with Graham Stephan on the Iced Coffee Hour, I highly recommend watching that podcast. There are some things in there that, agree or disagree with, sure. But he did allude to the fact that he has been buying a lot of items that he has not talked about publicly because he knows that if he discusses something, it becomes harder for him to acquire it. And so he is becoming more savvy in regards to like knowing that whatever he's after is going to increase in demand largely because people want what he wants. And then also, if people know that a whale is after a particular item, that item is going to become more expensive by virtue, right? By design. But even though Logan Paul's participation in like buying or his interest may have been sustained the entirety of this time, he has not been consistently selling cards. And so what we see with Rusty is consistent good. We're seeing like consistent positive output, and I'm not just talking about like his personality, his demeanor, his character, but I'm talking about his business. Rusty isn't always selling like, 6-figure cards, but he's always selling cards. Logan Paul only sells items on occasion. However, when he does, they are like massive sales, massive items, because he only buys the good stuff. So we basically see the classic outline of consistent good versus intermittent great. And if you know anything about, I'll make some like sports references too. I'm not actually that big of a sports fan, but the psychology of winning is something that's very interesting to me. But if you know anything about sports, let's talk about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, unanimously one of the greatest of all time basketball players, arguably the greatest of all time. But it's pretty common knowledge that he was actually cut from his high school basketball team. What Michael Jordan did not do is give up after he was cut. He didn't say, basketball's not for me, I'm going to go quit this sport, do something else. Michael Jordan continued practicing, made the team later on, went on to become a Tar Heel in college, and then later played in the NBA, breaking all kinds of records. So Michael Jordan inherently wasn't good enough for his high school basketball team at one point, but then leveled himself up by consistently outputting over time to become one of the most skilled players known to human history. We have plenty of ideas, and I think anyone in the comments or anyone viewing this video probably knows somebody from even childhood that just had a predisposition towards success, specifically related to athletics. I've got a few people that come to mind. Of course, I'm not going to name drop them because that would be super weird. But I knew a couple people growing up that regardless of the sport they played, they were going to be good at it. And some of the sports they absolutely just crushed at, but they didn't seem to have the big, strong desire to continue to be great. And so a lot of those people ended up flaking off and arguably not living up to their potential. So again, that's intermittent great versus consistent good. And all of this is to say that consistency is the key factor. If Logan Paul wanted to establish the biggest Pokemon reselling business in the world, he certainly has the capital and infrastructure and network to be able to pull something like that off. But for whatever reason, maybe it's just because he has his spoon in too many pots or whatever as it stands, or maybe he's just straight up not interested in exploiting that part of the market or engaging in that part of the market. Regardless of the reasoning, he's not doing it, even though he could. Rusty could and is. And so the huge difference that we see between those two individuals, aside from what's obvious, is just consistency. And I know that some people might want to dismiss this case study because it's oh, Drew, we're talking about two people that are already hyper successful. We're talking about two people that already have money. So how is this helpful at all to somebody like us who doesn't have that much money yet? Well, again, going back to the point of Michael Jordan, he got cut from his high school basketball team. He didn't have what it took that year to make the team as far as the coaches saw it, right? In terms of his contribution to the overall team success. Well, if we take a look at Rusty, by example, he's been extremely open and public about the fact that, and I'll just be candid, I was a person who, I didn't have it quite as bad as Rusty, but Rusty was a product of childhood poverty. So he's not a person who came from money. Unlike Logan Paul, he didn't enter the Pokemon market with millions of dollars in his bank account already. Rusty built everything he has from the ground up. And that's why it's relevant. And again, some people might also try to dismiss this because, Rusty got in way before prices were this expensive, and so he had an inherent advantage. But I would disagree with that. At the time that Rusty began engaging with the hobby, it was still expensive relative to where it had been historically. The prices that he was buying for Charizards were just the market price, and he would sell them, or slightly under market price presumably, and he would sell them for whatever market price was. And that's the same thing that you and I are doing. We're buying items for presumably slightly under market price, or we're finding some way to value boost those items via grading, and then we're selling them for whatever market price is. And we're collecting the margin. That's how we're growing our businesses. And so the same exact strategy that Rusty's been using for the past 20 years is still what you and I are doing. And sure, prices have changed from then to now, but the principle of engagement is still consistently true today. And so, if you want to be successful in the Pokemon space, it's a matter of being consistently good and not intermittently great. Hope this one helps. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.